Well, although they were off to a rocky start, the Boks annihilated the World 15. Did you see any weaknesses, Garen?
The biggest concern for me was the tight five. The front row for the Springboks is the Sharks front row. They've been together for a number of years now, but the World 15 front row really put them under the cosh a little bit. Cole Heyman, the former All Black player, now also playing in France himself, really one of the strong men of world rugby. Yeah. And together with Craig Burden, they gave the Springbok front row a real torrid time. And I was also very impressed with the second row for the World 15, Jean-Jay Creer and Alistair Hargreaves, both South Africans. They really, as a tight five, seemed to gel, especially in the early parts of the match. So that was what would be the biggest concern. I think Nick Mallett, after the match, was very kind and gracious to give some advice to Heineke Meyer and his team. They said, perhaps work on your tight five, work on the lineouts. The lineouts for the World 15 were pretty impressive as well. So they certainly have work to do this week leading up into the first test against Wales.
Are these the same weaknesses you saw?
Jen, certainly the scrum was the main source of concern, as Garen mentioned. It's been quite well documented. The problem that I think that Heineke Meyer has is that he knew before the game even started that Sharks front row, and also his old trusty Springbok firm in the front row. So they play a lot of rugby across competitions, every season. And they've played so much Super Rugby of late. The Sharks hadn't had a bye for something like, 8 weeks, Garen? So this was the 9th consecutive week of starting for most of those three in the front row, which meant that they were pretty tired, and it showed. And the problem they've got now is the first test only really starts on Saturday. So 3 tests in as many weeks still to come. And the big question is going to be, how does he sort of keep the front row fresh? I think that's going to be quite a big challenge. And the one thing that did worry me a little bit was that when the replacement props came on, I didn't think Guthrie Steenkamp or Connie Oosthuizen really gave the scrum any extra solidity. So in a sense, Heineke is going to be forced to stick with his tried and trusted 3, and rightly so in a way, because on paper we know that they're very good players. We know that they've done a really good job for South Africa in the last few seasons. So a little bit of a dilemma there. Other than that, maybe a few missed tackles by the Boks, especially in the first half. But then when the riot act clearly got read at half time and the Boks got back to their structure, then things went much more efficiently, and they started to look like the team that had established a lot of momentum and a really good winning habit last year. So mostly positives.